Right. Yeah. And good evening, Mr. Vardhan.
Good evening, sir. How are you doing?
No, fine, fine. I hope Mr. Salunke, Chandrakant Salunke, he is fine, absolutely good.
Yes, Mr.
Sorry?
Salukhe will not be joining. Mr. Vardhan is joining in place of Mr.
Yeah,
Salukhe.
yeah, I got it. I got it.
Yeah. So, good afternoon, eminent panelists and distinguished audience. Thank you for joining us today at this important session organized by Power to SME on empowering MSMEs decoding budget session 2024. To discuss the challenges, opportunities, and way ahead, we have with us a panel of speakers with session chair who needs no introduction, Dr. H.P. Kumar Sahab, who has held a position of chairman and managing director of National Small Industries Corporation and also happens to hold a prominent position of director of external affairs with us at the Power to SME. We also have with us Mr. T.R. Vardhan, who is the vice president of SME Chamber of India, and Dr. Rajendra K. Sinha. He's the MSME financing guru and a founder of MSMEadvisor.com. So before I hand over the session to Dr. Kumar Saab, I would like to take you through a brief introduction of Power to SME Limited. The Power to SME is founded by Mr. R. Narayan in the year 2012. Mr. Narayan has held a prominent position of president of FICCI MSME, that is a body run by the Confederation of MSME, the FICCI division. And Mr. Narayan came up with an innovative business model which eliminated the intermediaries in the supply chain of commonly used raw materials from big manufacturers to the MSME manufacturers, and thus providing a better pricing benefits to the MSME sector. Power to SME ecosystem you can see on the screen, which is like Power to SME is a a mother brand which undertakes the operations of raw material sourcing and procurement solutions. SME Shops is a one-stop shop addressing SME MRO needs to meet the growing and frequent requirements of SME buyers for consumable industrial goods. Biz Funds is an NBFC, in-house NBFC, which offers innovative and competitive financial products for raw material purchase. And Finance Me is, an organization, an arm of Power to SME, which ensures seamless approval of working capital loans for the SME partners through empaneled financial institutions. And we help small enterprises, get access to the financing they need to grow their businesses. So these are key product categories that we deal in. There are multiple others. These are just the reference purpose. These are the major industries that we are serving in current date. So Power to SME is a one-stop solution for all the requirements for the manufacturing SMEs, right from their raw material procurement and purchase financing and MRO requirements, which are powered by our digital tracking, this digital capabilities, namely order tracking, then competitive pricing, one-stop shop like SME shops, and we tailor the financing solutions for the SMEs based on the competitive rates of interest. These are the investors like Inventors, Excel, Nandalil Kaniji. Then we have IFC, Kalari Capital. And these are the accolades that we have won across, since the inception. And this is where you can find us on the social media. So thank you. And I hand over to Dr. Kumar Saab to take up the session from here on.
Thank you, Varun. Thank you very much. My greetings to all the participants as well as distinguished co-panelists. Mr. Vardhan, who is the Vice President of SME Chamber of India. Welcome, Mr. Vardhan. And
Thank you.
Dr. Sinha. Dr. Sinha is an old acquaintance. We have been, in fact, doing these kinds conference earlier also. So welcome, Mr. Sinha.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar.
Actually, this issue is little late because the budget happened last week. But anyway, since the budget is for the whole MSME sector as well as affects a lot of other sectors of the economy, there is no delay or nothing like late.
It's for the next year, yeah.
Yeah. Although it's an interim budget, but then the government, in fact, made clear their intentions and the roadmap for the next year. Not only for the next year, but even for future, as to how the government is going to consolidate their fiscal deficit, fiscal position, and check on the fiscal deficit. Well, the intentions and the roadmap are clear from the interim budget. This is the interim budget. We were expecting a populist budget, in fact, at this time when the elections are going to be held shortly. But then the government very wisely, in fact, gave a very, very balanced and very concise, statement of account, and with major, intentions, making clear as to how the economy is going to grow and how the various sectors of the economy are going to work. Now, our focus, in fact, today's discussion is on the MSME sector. Well, there are various issues which we are going to discuss with the help of our distinguished panelists. But then let me briefly mention few important announcements which were covered by the finance minister in the budget. The major focus of the interim budget was on the capex, capital expenditure, wherein it was mentioned that the capital expenditure outlay for infrastructure development and employment generation to be increased by 11.1%, to be increased by 11.1%, making it almost 11.11 lakh crore. That is the major increase in the capex which the government announced. Now, capex, as we all know, capex affects all sectors of the economy. Even in industry or other economic sectors, when we make investment in the capital expenditure, Dr. Sinha would subscribe to my views that any capital expenditure brings a multiplier effect by way of revenue generation and employment creation. When we invest in an industry, if we make investment of 1 crore, we expect revenue generation of almost 4 to 5 crores. That is the minimum, 4 to 5 times when we call it as an asset turnover ratio. It varies from sector to sector. It may go even up to 8 or 10 times also. Probably that is the back of the mind, probably the government had, that if you invest in capital expenditure, capex, the overall multiplier effect on the economy is going to be much more. That is not less than 4, 5, 6, 8 times. And when the multiplier effect is going to be there, naturally it is going to create more employment opportunities. So that is, I think, a very wise decision of the government. And then the second major issue where I think I would like to draw your attention is 3 major economic railway corridor programs which have been identified for expansion. There also, it is basically related to developing infrastructure around the railways, taking major, economic sectors like energy, mineral and cement corridors, port connectivity corridors, and high traffic density corridors. All these have the potential of multiplier effect. The other important factor is the consolidation on fiscal front. That is fiscal deficit to be contained at 5.1% in the next year. How is it connected to our MSMEs? Can I request all the participants to, close their, mute their mic, because there is a lot of disturbance coming. So, fiscal deficit target of 5.1%, that is containing at 5.1%, is going to have an indirect effect on the inflationary situation. And if the inflation can be contained, naturally it is going to have the effect on positive impact on the interest rates. So the economic sectors, include particularly the MSME sector, will surely benefit by way of maybe softening of the interest rates, which is, as I said, related to the containment of fiscal deficit. Then it says the tax rates for direct taxes, indirect taxes, and import duties will remain the same. While we were expecting some moderation and changes in the tax rates, The government probably at this stage did not do it, and we expect maybe in the final budget, that is the annual budget, which will come little later, 4 months later. I think those rates would be. We look forward to some changes in the interest rates, particularly the particularly the tax rates with regard to the proprietary and partnership concerns. Because in case of companies, the taxation has already been reduced to 25% for turnover for MSMEs with turnover up to 400 crores. So we had demanded, in fact, we had requested the government to apply similar tax rates for proprietary and partnership firms also, because more than 80% of the MSMEs are in the proprietary and partnership companies. So we were awaiting some announcement on this, which probably the government has deferred. Then, of course, 1 crore households to obtain 300 units free electricity. This is also a good initiative about rooftop solar power on the 1 crore households. My take on this will be that although it is a very good initiative, the only thing is the capital subsidy needs to be given to the households for implementing this program, and capital subsidy should be given upfront, not as a reimbursement later, because it will incentivize the households to implement the program quickly, to adopt this program quickly. And the second thing is the implementing agencies. There has to be capacity building of the implementing agencies in order to implement this program successfully and quickly. So that is another area which I would like to flag. Then it says tax benefits to startups, investments made by sovereign wealth funds or pension funds extended to 31st March 2025. We know that startups have been getting some tax exemptions, which was applicable valid up to 31st March 2024. So this has been extended. It's a welcome measure because startups still they are in the nascent stage and they still need a lot of hand-holding and protection. So this is a good measure. And there are many others, but I would like to say last one, that is a corpus of rupees 1 lakh crore to be established with 50 years interest-free loans to provide long-term financing or refinancing at nil interest rates. So the details of this announcement are not yet known. The government intention is to create a fund, corpus of 1 lakh crore, and provide some funding out of this to the industry and MSMEs for innovations and research and development. Basically, the intention is that since the result would accrue over a period of long time, so some kind of incentive by way of interest-free loan. I am given to understand that the entire loan is not going to be interest-free. It is only a part of the loan which would be offered as interest-free, and part will be interest-bearing. But the repayment period of 50 years is very attractive. I feel that probably this repayment period is tied up to the foreign funding which comes of a similar period, maybe 50 years or even more, from the foreign development funds. And out of that, the government can create a corpus and probably thinking of utilizing that fund, because that fund even comes at a very low rate of interest. We were raising, in fact, in NSIC, I remember we were raising foreign funding from KfW at 0.75% annual rate with the repayment period of 50 years. So similar kind of, I think, developmental funding would be utilized for this. So I think these initiatives and these announcements are very progressive, timely, and futuristic, with long-term vision. The details of budgetary allocations and budget provisions have not been mentioned as of now, because probably they will come in the annual budget. How far MSME sector is going to be benefited out of this? That is the discussion. What more could have been done in the policies? What more announcements we expect? And what are our expectations in future? So these are some of the issues which we will surely discuss in our program today. So we have distinguished panelists with me. First, Mr. T.R. Vardhan, who is the Vice President, SME Chamber of India, and is also the Chairman of Mascot Systems Private Limited and Vice President of SME Chamber, as I mentioned. Over 40 years of experience in engineering goods and services related to the process industry. So I think with so much of experience and the background that Mr. Vardhan has, and also being associated with SME Chamber of India, I think, Mr. Vardhan, you are the best person, in fact, to decode the budget, the interim budget, and let us know whether it meets your expectations and what more you expect the government to announce in the final budget. So over to you, Mr. Vardhan.
Thank you, Dr. Kumar, and thank you the other panelists and all the invitees around to attend to this wonderful presentations which Dr. Kumar made and the others are going to make as we move forward. Just a little brief about the chamber before I could probably decode what I can take in from the budget about the chamber, what I have been working with over the last 2.5 years. It's an apex organization under the subtle and dynamic leadership of Chandrakant Salunke, who's been the founder chairman since 1993 and has done wonders for the SME over the last 30 odd years. He's taken the entire family of SME across the country to the next level, ensuring people who are come into the micro, from the micro to the small, from small to the medium, how he's been hand-holding the entire industry over the last 30 years. He works with the government bodies like the Power to SME does, and he works with the entire range of foreign dignitaries who are with the various consulates, working out what partnerships or JVs that could be brought into India so that these SMEs can be hand-holded and taken to the next level. It won't be surprising to mention for me when I say while he's been constantly hand-holding these SMEs and supporting their causes, he also recognizes through the government and various other institutions in offering people what they have done over the years and rewarding them and showcasing them in various platforms through his SME Connect, SME TV channel, the SME News, and the various SME platforms. He also recognizes new technologies, supports them, takes that all alongside when it comes to new startups, so on and so forth. Thank you for this little brief that I could offer about the chamber, as I would probably add a few words as to what I look into the budget per se, as what Nirmala Sitharaman put across on the 1st of February. In fact, I would like to share a little bit. It was a little surprising when I heard the finance minister speaking just for an hour, and the whole country, I believe, were looking for more around during the budget, as normally happens. It was a pleasant surprise that she spoke only for an hour, kept it limited to a few things. While Dr. Kumar mentioned a lot of things on what are the various key points that the finance minister touched upon, and all of us believe there doesn't seem to be much for the SME. But when you start looking and decoding further into the budget that Nirmala Sitharaman has put up, the biggest thing that she's mentioned about the capex, that's about 11.11 crores for lakh crores for the following year. You should smile away to the banks now. The SMEs can really do that for a major portion, while large organizations would be doing it. I'm quite sure a good 20% increase for the SMEs could be seen in terms of what they can do towards growth. And that's my basic first take as to what the finance minister has said. Primarily, while nothing much has been said about SMEs, but deep inside, when you start nibbling it out, like for example, the way Dr. Kumar put it across, if 11.11 lakh crores has been allocated, it's normally a 3x or a 4x. So you can well imagine, and most of that work would be done by the SMEs. And with people around here, we could handhold our entire team, take them to that level and support them. The other important aspect, as Dr. Kumar put out on the corridors, the three major railway corridors which the finance minister has talked about, I would like to see more of it in the main budget to understand what exactly we would be getting it at. But there are a few points which I believed the finance minister needed to touch upon very critically, and I do believe we can together take it up to the minister and tell them they need to touch upon these points when it comes to the SMEs. All of us have heard about the latest GEM portal which the government of India has put up to benefit the SMEs. While the entire system is brilliant for all of us, however, one notable point, I don't know how many of us have noticed it, is the fact that the GEM portal takes away 0.5%, I repeat, 0.5% of the sales made for any order secured from a public sector unit. This, I believe, is quite unfair to the SMEs, because most SMEs, we talk of the bottom line, which will be anywhere between 5% to 10%. And if you're going to be knocking off 0.5% off the top line, it amounts to a large sum of the money that's going out of the SME's pocket. I do not believe that the SMEs need to be troubled with this. This should probably, if the government needs to do it, I think they need to take it to the buyer to ensure that they pay for this and not the SMEs. This is a crucial point which I noticed, and time and again I have seen the SMEs having a problem with this. The only problem they are having is they're not able to take it up at the forum. A lot of them have approached me personally, and I've promised them through the chamber and along with Chandrakant Salunke, we would take it up to the government to ensure this is taken care of. Another point which I want to emphasize, and I don't know how, though it's nothing to do with the budget, it's just sidestepping for another initiative for the SMEs. She did mention about the number of days by which the payments need to be made to the SME, which is 45 days. Now, you need to go into this fine print and you will notice it's not 45 days, it's maximum 45 days. So more often than not, the various organizations, they say as per the government rules, it has to be paid in 45 days. But I can only suggest to each of you here, you can still negotiate with your customer, telling them for a better terms, better than 45. What the government tells you is the organizations have to pay you within 45 days, within bracket, maximum time, but does not tell you that the corporates can also pay you in 30 days or 15 days or 25 days based on your negotiating skills. If we work this out, I'm sure at least we will have a success rate of 50%, which helps the SME a big time. I wouldn't see any other extra point that was mentioned of interest in the budget at the moment. But there are a few statements of Nirmala Sitharaman which I was very impressed with. And I did believe something more is going to come in, trying to read between lines. You would have noticed she mentioned about tax structure, both indirect and direct, which she said she would touch upon in the main budget, which directly probably hints at the fact there could be some changes in the tax structures there. And I'm quite confident, like Dr. Kumar said, for the proprietary firms and the LLPs, they don't have this benefit. This would probably be coming up in the main budget. Nevertheless, we do have time so that we can take it up. With this little note, I think I have covered the portions which probably Dr. Kumar missed out in the budget. And I would thank you for your time for hearing me out. Thank you, Dr. Kumar.
Thank you, Mr. Varadhan. I think very useful inputs. I have noted down both the points. In fact, 0.5% of top line, that is 0.5% of sales being charged by GEM. I think we should take it up with the government separately, because this may not come in the budget, but it's a very useful point, in fact. And
Just a moment, sir. It
yeah, you
can
want
be
to.
taken up in the budget itself if we are able to speak to the finance minister officials. This can actually be put up by the minister in the budget itself, because she has mentioned about the payment terms. She has mentioned about many other things. Concerns the finance ministry, because 0.5% is going out of the government's pocket or coming in back to the SMEs. So this can be taken up in the budget itself.
Okay, let us try. In fact, why I was saying is because GEM reports to Ministry of Commerce and Industry, not the Finance Ministry. And GEM has its own budget basically. What they are doing is they are recovering 0.5% and meeting their own expenditure. So if the government intends to provide, government can provide. In fact, maybe it can be covered also, because ultimately this is an announcement which Finance Minister can always make. So let us
Absolutely.
try to make it, and it's a very useful point that you mentioned, Mr. Varadan. And about delayed payment 45 days, the payment period of 45 days to micro and small enterprises. We had in fact requested that medium also should be included in this, first of all. And you have in fact raised a very interesting observation that by writing 45 days maximum in the law, people feel that they can go take 45 days for payment. So it is
True.
understood in a different way that now you have 45 days for payment. Although by negotiation, maybe 10 days, 15 days, 20 days could have been negotiated. I think in the Act, there is a provision of 15 days payment in case there is nothing in writing.
Correct.
15 days from the appointed date. Appointed date is probably the date of delivery or date of acceptance. I am not sure. But there is a period of 15 days mentioned. So normally it should be paid in 15 days. If it is not otherwise agreed to.
Okay.
So
Dr. Kumar, I wanted to make one more point which skipped
yeah,
out of my
please
mind,
go ahead. Please go ahead.
which is even more important than other things. I don't know how many of you are aware, and this definitely needs to be taken up with the finance ministry, is the fact that typically for service bills, once you have completed your service, you're expected to raise a bill within 30 days from the date of completion. If you don't raise your bill within 30 days of completion, you are and but you will have to end up paying your GST in the process. Now what happens is, in the event you don't raise the bill, a future date you may pay the bill, your GST, on time once you have raised the bill. However, at a future time, you end up paying a fine which is levied by the GST authorities, and you end up paying, though it could be minuscule in the times that if you have paid your GST on time, maybe it's a 0.01% or 0.02%. Nevertheless, why penalize the person for once you're not able to raise the bill within 30 days? There are locations specifically in the sector of oil and gas or other process industry where measurements need to be taken as to how much of service is completed. And that's a tedious exercise, and the customer takes a longer time to ensure that is completed. They also have their various points in place wherein they have to take the measurements, various approvals, and by the time you raise the bill, it's beyond 30 days. So you end up paying a fine on the GST. That's point one. In spite of the fact that once you've raised the bill, you've paid your GST, you pay a fine. A. Second, in case you miss it out, spread over a year, and if you are looked up for by the GST authorities for some kind of a review in your organization, at that time a larger fine is levied on the SMEs, which probably run into a few lakhs, which is unfortunate. And this needs to be addressed at the finance ministry, by which it can be said that we could be allowed to raise the bill. The GST should be taken from the day bill is raised, rather than from the date of completion of the job. This is quite essential, and it will really help us big way.
Good point, I think. Actually, GST, there are plenty of things which still need to be corrected, you see. This is another issue. The one more issue which probably people have been talking for a long time, which needs to be corrected, is that once you raise the bill, GST bill, your issue is that if people are raising it beyond 30 days, they have to pay fine. But then those who are raising within the time and do not receive the payment, they are paying GST in advance, but waiting for the payment to realize. that is another big issue which probably feel that GST should be payable only on realization, not on raising the bills. So many issues are there in GST. I think the government is doing one by one, slowly. But then this is a important point that you mentioned. At some stage, we will take up with the government this issue also. So
In
let
fact,
me
Mr.
bring
Kumar,
in
Dr.
now
Kumar, the
our
other point which I can probably say is the GST now we have to file our returns every month.
yes.
Rather than that, the SME should be permitted to file the return once in 2 months. That will make a lot of sense. At least their cash flow to an extent would be better off.
Yes, yes. No, in fact, we have said that the micro enterprises, smaller enterprises up to a threshold limit, should be allowed to file the return annually. Some MSMEs have been allowed now quarterly returns, but then you know, for those at least the units which are at a very small level, micro level, some more relaxation needs to be given as far as returns filing is concerned.
But there again,
So
I'm sorry, Dr. Kumar, there is another problem wherein more large corporates, what they tend to do, they may make your payment in 30 days or 45 days, but they will hold back your GST payment till you have filed the returns on the site. Once they're able to see that you have filed the returns, only then will they reimburse your money.
yeah, that is
The
another
large
issue.
corporates like the L&Ts and the Reliance of the world, they tend to do this. They are very clear about it. That needs to be addressed also.
Yeah, that is probably to verify whether you have paid the taxes or not. So that is also a flaw in the system, that the buyer will get the credit only when the supplier has already actually paid the taxes, GST.
Mhm.
So both have to be, treated differently. Why the buyer should be penalized if the supplier has not paid the GST? So that is another issue which there are so many issues which which are matter of correction in the GST regime. So let me invite now Dr. Sinha, Dr. R.K. Sinha. Dr. Rajendra Kumar Sinha is a veteran in the banking industry and is MSME financing guru and founder of MSMEadvisor.com, and having more than 30 plus years experience in the SBI group and particularly dealing with the MSME sector. So he is a very highly qualified professional with PhD in business administration and is on the board of various bodies like National Advisory Board of SME Chamber of India. So over to you, Dr. Sinha. In fact, my issues are same as to whether the budget does it meet your expectations, and what are the issues that you would like to flag which are going to benefit the MSME sector and the economy as a whole, and what more do you expect? What did you expect and which has not come, and what more you expect with regard to taxation and other policy issues for the MSME sector? So over to you, Dr. Sinha.
Yeah, good evening, viewers, and thank you, Dr. Kumar. I have been associated with the MSMEs for a pretty long time across various parts of the country. And having associated with them, especially during COVID time, I came forward with my MSMEadvisor.com, which has very useful information for all MSMEs. What benefits they can avail of, what they are aware, and what they should be more aware of. Beside that, in my present association at my leading business school, the second best in Bangalore, Jagdish Shetty School of Management, we have come forward with the program SME Manager for MSMEs, which we are going to execute in association with Bangalore Chamber of Industry and Commerce, and especially targeting the key employees in MSMEs and also the promoters' family members. Because MSMEs have a lot of challenges for the operational issues, for their supply chain related issues, for the financing issues, and all these plethora of issues which they have, they remain bogged down at the level which they started, and they do not fly off to the level which they can go off. So hopefully through this program, we will be able to address which we are doing not only with BCIC, but also with the Karnataka Small Scale Industry Association at large. Now, the panel of today is decoding of budget 2024-25. I will be talking about both the plus points, like what the glass is full of water and what glass is empty. At the end, I will talk that also. Now, this budget 24-25, to me, it sounds that yes, it's a responsible budget, futuristic budget, in the sense that it is not populistic measures filled up. And in the economic background, which our country is comfortable with 7% growth the previous year fiscal. And as Dr. Kumar pointed out, that fiscal deficit is around 5.1, which is lower than 6%, but RBI targets now is 4%. Moving forward to that level will help RBI softening the interest rate in the benefit of MSMEs. And the economic situation, yes, it's comfortable because the direct tax collections have 3 times gone in last 10 years. Return filing has 2.5 times. Now, in this economic background, if we look at this budget 2024, which has essence of going forward for developed India and what the long sight goal is 30 trillion economy by 2047. But herein, yes, MSMEs have very crucial role, we should understand. And in this guidance, the focus, as Dr. Kumar mentioned, that there has been continuing focus on infrastructure development, also empowering underprivileged youth, women, farmers, and sustainable growth, which in this budget has also focused on climate related. Now, the total expenditure is already the capital expenditure is about 3.4% of GDP. And this certainly will have a ripple effect across when heavy capital investment is taking place in different sectors. Dr. Kumar talked about the railway corridor, substantially the supply chain issues, the logistics, the bringing efficiency has a bearing, no doubt, on each and every stakeholder. Now, going for the MSME related, yes, Finance Minister mentioned that yes, robust MSME development is crucial. And she is looking forward, relooking at the regulatory environment for MSME sector, which is essential, no doubt about it. And the allocation of 22,137.95 crore in the interim budget for MSME sector will have more establishment of clusters and new technology centers. Now, if we look at that, especially for MSMEs during COVID period, yes, substantial measures were taken through emergency credit line credit. So here also the budgetary layout is there, but yes, it has been reduced from 14,000 crores to 10,162.92 crores because the benefit which was being given there, so majority of it has already gone there as envisaged in the scheme. Then the budget has provision for technology centers allocation 450 crores. And then PM Vishwakarma scheme has got 4,824 crores. allocation for acquired sector has also marginally gone 103 crores. Now, regarding the yes, 1 lakh crore, Dr. Kumar has talked over 50-year interest-free loan. Hopefully, this will bring innovation, technology development, but certainly I would like to see that the benefit comes to the MSME sectors. It percolates down for medium enterprises, for small scale enterprises too. Micro enterprise obviously will not have anything for this, but yes, it should definitely come, and that is what I'm looking forward for the medium and small enterprises. Now, the measures which have been taken in the past, yes, if you look at the bank credit, the overall growth has been 14.2%. If we look at FY19 to FY24, 5 years period. But while I'm mentioning it, the fact remains that of UK Sinha committee report that the requirement for Indian MSMEs is 30 trillion rupees, that is 30 lakh crores. And out of which, say, 18 lakh crore, if has been extended, so the gap is still remains huge, substantial. And bringing especially the micro enterprises on the formal credit platform is a big challenge. Now, the ease of doing business, Udyam portal is the number of MSMEs which have registered has been picking up substantially with more than 2.25 crores MSMEs already registered on Udyam portal. And I look forward that more and more, because still the gap is there, 6.2 crores, so what the official number is, and 2.25 crore plus on Udyam portal, so still the gap is substantial. So that should also come up. Then this Mudra loan benefit, yes, it has gone to the women entrepreneurs, 30 crores Mudra loan women entrepreneurs, and 43 crore loan sanction, the PM Mudra Yojana has gone for entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs. Now, the budget as overall, if we look at that, yes, it's looking on technology development, looking on innovations, looking at addressing the underprivileged in our society. But yes, for MSME sector, still lot has to be done over, and the challenge which my colleague here in the panel was mentioning, that payment for MSMEs remains a big channel, although the trade platform has come, the Samadhan initiative is there, but it's still in the practice, MSMEs have challenges for getting payments. Obviously, the 45 days is the outer limit for payment, and thereafter penalty has to be imposed, but the process is not easy. It's a challenging. And here, obviously, the government has to take substantial measures looking to the ground realities so far. And the second thing, that bringing MSMEs on the formal credit platform, because still the gap is huge. And we have to address that gap. And again, creating awareness, having certain programs where the government should come up with, I will suggest, the business schools and the kind of institutions which can help out in addressing the skill development challenges, awareness development challenges for the MSMEs, especially the micro and small enterprises. So with this, I will say that yes, the government is looking at yes, the long time pursuit, and yes, infrastructure development certainly is going to help out across with multifarious benefits. But nonetheless, there are steps still for addressing the needs of MSMEs.
Thank you, Dr. Sinha. I think that is what, in fact, we can analyze the interim budget, because there are no specific allocations in the budget and not very specific policy changes also with regard to changes in the business or economy of the various sectors, and more particularly the MSME sector. So the government has basically clarified their intentions to consolidate long-term fiscal policy, spend more on infrastructure development, which will have multiplier effect, of course, and generate more business activity in the country and create more employment opportunities. And in all this, MSME sector is going to be directly and indirectly benefited, because ultimately 50% contribution almost in the economy comes from the MSME sector. Whether like domestic markets or export markets, I mean 40 to 50%. So
yeah, Dr. Kumar, here I would like to just add one point that
yes.
We are looking at obviously 2047, 30 trillion economy, the third largest economy. In developed countries, the contribution of MSME sector to their GDP is more than 50%. It is 60% also. It is 70% also. In some countries, even more than that also. In India, we have still 30+%, and export contribution is more than 45%. But its employment generates second to agriculture. But if we bring it, say, more than 50% in our short-term goals, that will be a big booster for the MSME sector and also for our GDP. And our pursuits should be to take it forward and align it on the lines of the developed countries with now the infrastructure focus going on. I think other aspects taking care of this will become a reality.
Here is a point I'd like to make when you're saying
Yes.
that Dr. Kumar mentioned that our share is about closer to 50% on the MSME. Very honestly, while the government believes you're doing close to about 30 to 34%, my personal belief it's under 30% is what is the MSME sector contributing, because there is a long way to go in terms of what we can do, primarily because what is happening is these large corporates, they tend to avoid using the MSMEs for any of their subcontracting jobs wherever possible. One of the initiatives which the government could probably take up, and that will make a lot of sense, is we can have these large corporates handhold these MSMEs and ensure that what they are going to be doing in-house, that needs to be subcontracted down to the micro and small industries. That should be made quite mandatory specifically for these large corporates, and that will take us a long way, because what happens more often than not is they believe that they will not be able to do the job, and that's where the corporates need to handhold them, probably collaborate with them a larger extent. If this can be introduced in the budget, in the requirements for MSMEs, it will go through a long way, and I'm sure this could, over the next 5 years, raise the levels in which MSME is contributing from the present under 30% to probably closer to 50-55%. And I think this needs to be compulsorily done.
No, while I take your point that corporates have to, source their services and products, whether they are manufactured products or other services, from the MSMEs. I fully agree with you that while they should be doing it for the benefit of the MSME sector, but they, as you know, corporates would go by their cost benefit analysis. If they can produce a product in their company by investing their capital expenditure, they would see where they stand to benefit. And about the contribution of the MSME sector, as it has been mentioned in the government records also and some studies also, that it is 30%. Sometimes I wonder a different perspective which I can share with you, that while the agriculture contributes nearly 18% to the country's economy, large manufacturing sector, as you know, manufacturing sector contributes 16%, which the government is trying to increase from 16 to 25% by way of national manufacturing policy. So 16 plus 18 is 34%. The other sector, the bigger one means the other big sector is the mining and infrastructure. Mining and infrastructure contributes 8%. So how much does it come to? 40%, 42%. Rest all comes from the services and micro and small and medium enterprises, which nearly, as per my assessment, is nearly 60%. I don't know why these different figures are floating, whereas as per several studies, we see that it is only 30%. If you take services into account, which is mostly being done by the MSME sector, the MSME's contribution, including services and manufacturing, should be nearing 60%. Maybe there are some, differences in the statistical information, which keep, under discussion at several places. But nevertheless, at the end of the day, we can say that MSME sector has substantial contribution to the economy, and that is why I say 50 to 60%. Sometimes, like exports 40%, manufacturing 45%, services 60%. That is another data which is available in the market. But different data keeps floating from different levels, keep coming from different levels. One question which has been mentioned, one issue which has been raised, very important issue by Dr. Sinha, is PM Vishwakarma Yojana. That's a very good scheme, provided it's implemented in the right perspective and with efficiency. I think that scheme can really bring a lot of micro entrepreneurs, those who at the one district, one product ODOP level, from smaller towns and districts, people who are in traditional manufacturing with their traditional skills. Those products have to be taken out from those villages and small towns and brought to the national scene, and that Vishwakarma is going to play a very important role in improving further the contribution of the MSME sector in the country. So I think we have covered a lot of things. There is a lot of other expectations which we have, which probably we can see through in the normal budget. We are hopeful that a lot of changes, as we discussed today, should come in the normal budget. So I would stop here and request my colleagues Varun and Shivani, in case there are questions which we can address, our panelists can address. Over to you, Varun. Varun, are you there with me?
Yes, sir. I was just unmuting myself. So we have a few questions, sir.
Yes.
We have one question from Mr. Anurag.
Is it?
What is government planning for MSME companies in the gas industry?
Gas industry,
Yes, sir.
especially. Okay. So anybody would like to take it, or should I address this?
I can address it to a little
Yeah.
extent, and
Please.
probably from there you can take it over, Dr. Kumar.
Yes, please go ahead.
When I would personally believe that Anurag, as he's mentioning that what is the planning for the MSME company for the gas industries, I think there is one of the basic requirements which the government has put across, and as what the world is talking about, is the greenhouse gases that are in and around, which have to be reduced. I do believe there's a lot of opportunities for the MSMEs there, because most of the emissions that are coming out of the process industry, that's largely needs to be addressed to a great extent. And that's an opportunity which the government has indirectly probably offered it to the MSME industry, to take care on the reduction of the gases, emissions per se, which amounts to close to 17% from the process industry. One. Second, if you look at it in terms of gas industry directly, may not be, they could be probably talking of biogas in collaboration, wherein IOCLs and the BPCLs, they're offering some kind of solution for these smaller guys who are making biogas, so which can add, and ethanol, which the government can buy back. I think there are certain initiatives which is available specifically in the gas industry, and also I would rather say biogas as well as biofuel industry. I would have this small little take on that.
No, I
Over to you,
agree
Kumar.
with you. I think very rightly mentioned, the government has launched National Biofuel Policy also 2018. And in that policy, basically, the purpose is to boost the availability of biofuels in the country and to increase the usage of alternate fuels like ethanol, biodiesel, and bio-CNG through, ethanol blending. So these are some of the policies which the government has already announced. The only thing is implementation has to take place in a very effective manner, and there the MSMEs need to be made aware of as to what are the components of the policy which they can really take advantage of. Policy is there, of course. Policies like green hydrogen policy and biofuel policy, ethanol blending, these policies have been already in the, already announced. The ministry is very, Ministry of Environment and Forest is very active on this front. And actually, the specific programs need to be held on this issue. This is a very important issue that our participant has raised.
Yeah,
Just to
Dr.
share with
Kumar.
you,
Yeah, please go on.
Yeah. Please carry on. Yes.
just to share,
Here,
Dr. Sinha, you carry on, please.
yeah. Here I had recently an experience in Uttarakhand to see how this sewer waste in Hardwar, in collaboration with one entrepreneur, has come forward in collaboration with the Uttarakhand government. And as my another panelist colleague was telling, that yes, the CNG gas and the ethanol making out of it. So CNG gas station they have started, and it is a collaboration. Already some setup is there, and they have come up with the new technology and all to escalate it to a higher level. So those who are interested and have this skill set in the different states, state government, they have to reach out, and state governments are keen going ahead for such kind of ventures, joint collaborations.
Yes, surely. So, Varun, another question?
Sir, rather, there is a comment which has come from Mohan Bhutha. There should be a credit schemes so that MSMEs get their payment from customers, or payment is guaranteed by an agency at a premium, and factoring without recourse should be. Large companies should compulsorily pay through factoring like RXIL, InvoiceSmart, or M1 Exchange within 45 days. And every MSME should be registered with these factoring agencies like RXIL, M1 Exchange, and InvoiceSmart.
Yes, no, it's a very valid comment. And I think large corporates have already been advised, not by way of a law, but by way of government advisory, that all those corporates with turnover of more than 500 crores should register on TREDS platform, but not all of them have registered. Rather, very few of them have registered, because there is no legal requirement for that. It's only an advisory. We have requested the government of late that instead of 500 crore, you decrease the threshold to 250 crore, because micro, small, and medium maximum limit is 250 crore turnover. So all those companies which are beyond 250 crore are large. So all of them should be directed to register on the TREDS platform. And I fully agree with the comment that MSMEs should be given benefit of timely payment through TREDS platform, because they can bear that cost, little cost which they will have to pay, but at least they will get the liquidity, timely payment from their buyers. So I fully agree with that.
Yeah, Dr.
There's
Kumar,
a thing.
going forward, this is a
Yes.
very logical step. And Receivable Exchange of India, and now they have even micro enterprises also registered on their portal. And the point which you made, that beyond 250 crores turnover, 250 crores and upward turnover are all should be taken a mandatory registration, so that the dealings of these the MSMEs also become registered on that, and they take the benefit, because this platform where the bankers are also there, and once the acceptance of the invoice is there, and then the bankers reach out to those who have to pay. So this will be helping out addressing the liquidity.
Right.
And going forward, this should be made mandatory, and the limit should be lowered down, and this has to be closely followed for the benefit of MSMEs.
Yes. No, in fact, TREDS is a recent initiative, and after the Factoring Act was introduced, including the NBFCs also, I think the number of companies, buyer particularly I'm talking, have increased. Number of financing entities have also increased. So TREDS is still in the developing stage. The popularity of TREDS needs to be increased. And I don't know whether you can make it compulsory or not, because that will be difficult for the government to make it compulsory that all those bills should be discounted, because there are other entities also who are directly doing it. Like banks are doing it directly. You don't have to go to TREDS, in fact, to discount their bills. So you can get it done directly from NBFCs. You can get it done directly from banks also. TREDS is an alternative where both the buyers and sellers, in fact, both are taken on board. So, but I would say that TREDS has its very important role to help the MSMEs, in fact, in realizing their payments.
Now, here's the thing that I would like to mention on realization of payments. I don't know how many of you are aware about two major things. One which is going good for the MSMEs, and one which is not going very good for the MSMEs. Now, you'd be surprised to note that L&T as a policy has taken up, in the event their payment is not released within the specific time, maybe it's 30 days or 45 days, they pay you an overdue interest. I repeat, they will pay you an overdue interest. I don't know what the percentage is. I probably, for the claim, they have never defaulted as of now. Yes, they will pay you an overdue interest in the event they default on the payment. That was one. Second, most organizations, say for example, we are dealing with the public sector organizations, the payments being released, which is a transfer that is made by an IOCL or an HPCL, there are bank charges which are levied on the SMEs. If the especially when it comes down to a State Bank of India or a Bank of Baroda, that's a public sector banks, levies a charge which is closer to 0.25% to 0.5% of your invoice value as the amount being transferred from the public sector entity's account into your account. However, when it comes to private banks, if it's an HDFC or an ICICI, they don't charge. This needs to be addressed. For I don't think the bankers need to charge us for the transfer of the funds, which should not be to our account at all.
Yeah, no, these are different problems, in fact, bank to bank. Particularly the private sector bank, they have their own fee structures, even for transfer of funds and all these things also, which should be normally available, in fact, free of cost. They are charging this. So, depending upon the customer feedback, these issues certainly needs to be taken up with the ministry. But the observation, as you pointed out, is very relevant, in fact. So, any other question?
So Mr. Mohan would like to speak if we have your permission, sir.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Sure.
Mr. Mohan.
Sir, I'm speaking from practical experience.
Yes.
There are very few companies who see what I'm told is that all companies with a turnover of above 500 crores are supposed to register compulsorily with any of the TREDS platforms, and pay MSMEs within 45 days. But what they do is, generally, they register at the end of the 45th day, and 90% of the companies have not registered. Some companies have started now, okay, but as a matter of routine, we do follow up. But MNCs in particular, they don't register with trades platforms. Now, what you mentioned that banks are also discounting, but the matter is that these trades platforms are without recourse, and banks discounting is with recourse. So in case the large companies don't pay, the MSME has to repay the money to the bank, okay, and which it is not possible for them to do. Once they get the money, it is utilized in their business, they can't repay it. Okay. So the trades platform is what should be encouraged, by the government and made compulsorily to be implemented. And the process should be made simpler. The process is too long for registration and for the discounting. Once the bills are uploaded, it's easily possible, because ultimately it is the bank that's discount. See, once the trades platform, they register the bills, it means that they have done their book work. The background work has been done by the trades platforms. Yeah. So for the banks, it becomes easier since the paperwork has already been done. So there is no further paperwork to be done. They have to only discount, and the rates have a great advantage for MSMEs because rates are absolutely low. There's great competition for the banks to discount these bills. So this is one great benefit that the government has given through the trades platform. Unfortunately, most companies are not registered, and L&T in particular, of late they have paid us, say, let us say, after 100 days they have paid with a further 45 days credit, okay, whereas they were supposed to pay us in 45 days.
Yeah,
Okay.
no,
And this,
I think you are right. I
Just one
take all
moment,
these
Dr.
points.
Kumar.
Yes.
Just one moment, Dr.
Let
Kumar.
me
this
just observe on the issues which Mr. Butha has raised. In fact, 500 crore, as I mentioned, the limit should be 250 crore, but I suspect whether government can make it mandatory, because this is a business practice. Government cannot direct that, okay, you have to go to trades to implement and avail the discounting facility.
So to the
Why?
extent that I know, it is compulsory. That's
No,
what
no,
they
no.
have told me. The trades
It's not
platform,
compulsory. It's not compulsory.
RXIL, the M1 Exchange, and Invoice Mart, all three
It
of
is
them have
not
told us
compulsory,
that it
Mr.
is
Butha.
compulsory.
It is only advisory. If it was compulsory, you yourself said that 90% have not registered. If it was compulsory, legally required, they would have been forced to register. It is only a directive issued for the benefit of the MSME sector, but no legal action can be taken if they have not registered.
So for that
Just to
matter,
share with
45
you,
days
Dr.
also is compulsory. 45 days is compulsory, but that is
That is
not
as
being
per law. That is
implemented.
as per
Yes,
law.
yes, but
That
still
is as
it's
per
not
law.
being implemented since
That is as per law.
2006. The act is there since 2006 and it's not being implemented.
Yeah, that's right.
But
That's
Mr.
right.
Mutta, you can actually check with L&T. L&T have brought in a policy effective 1st January, if I'm correct, that in the event they don't pay you in 45 days, they will pay you an overdue interest.
Yes.
It is possible, sir, because right now they are a little active on this matter. They have for the first time asked us to submit our documents as an MSME. It's possible that what you're saying is right. Okay. But so far we have not received interest payments from any of our customers except once, and that too they have taken a discount in the next order that they placed.
No, you
But
can
one
actually
point
write to
that
L&T
you,
because this is a confirmation I am giving you because I am just going to be executing an order for L&T.
That's great. That's great. Thank
So
you
I
very much.
know I'm executing a large order for a little over 3.5 crores, wherein they have taken a 45-day credit, and with a caveat, in case they delay the payment by even a day,
Uh-huh.
overdue interest will be paid.
Okay. Okay.
but other 2 points, Mr. Butha, that you mentioned, they are very relevant, that the process should be made simple on threads, which I feel You have very rightly mentioned it's a little tedious and long, lengthy process. And the benefit of non-recourse, as rightly mentioned by you, the benefit of non-recourse should attract the MSMEs to go to the trades. So that is another attraction, that it will be financing without recourse. So more and more, in fact, volumes and MSMEs should approach. So all these factors that you mentioned are very relevant.
Sir, I can also mention that internationally, credit guarantee schemes are there. There are agencies that guarantee payment, and in case the customer doesn't pay, that agency will pay for at a premium. So you have to insure with that company, and they will pay the credit amount in case the customer fails to pay.
Right,
But for that, a process has to be followed. There should be a purchase order. There should be proof that material has been delivered. There should
right,
be,
right,
all these documentation should be there.
right.
And which is where the MSMEs fail.
Yes.
They don't maintain their documents in proper order.
Varun, can we go to another question?
Yes, sir. No more questions, sir. I think we can come to close, sir.
No other question.
No,
Okay.
sir.
Thank you,
So,
sir, for listening to me. Thank you.
no, it's a wonderful point that you mentioned, Mr. Butha. We will surely take this into account. This feedback, in fact, I am going to meet Threads CEO next week on 16th, two of them. And I am going to raise these observations, the feedback that you have given, to both of them, because they also come to us complaining that not many MSMEs and not bigger corporates are coming and registering on us. So this process should be simplified. Then only
Yeah,
people will come.
one thing I would like, I have been in touch with the Receivable Exchange of India CEO, and he told me process is simple, and if there is any challenge on their website, the details have been provided. One can reach out, and the hand holding can be there. So they will be responding if at all, if there is any hiccups in the registration on the RXIL or other platforms. So that can be addressed over. That should not be a challenge. But the point is that there has to be a buyer also. So the seller also. So this process of registering is not taking to that extent. And more and more buyers should come on this platform. That's a requirement which will facilitate the sellers again for registering and getting the benefit in this.
So
Right.
the trades companies are not marketing enough. They have
Absolutely.
given them several names to approach and register with them, but they have not done the marketing.
Mr. Butha, you are
If they
just
go, yes, sir, yes,
You are
sir.
bang on. You are bang on. In fact, that is what I told them yesterday. Also, talking to them, two of them out of three, that they are not marketing properly. People are not even aware, most of them.
Exactly, exactly. With large
So,
companies, there are so many large, hundreds and hundreds of companies are available to them
hmm,
for registering with them
yes,
if they market it.
yes,
And
absolutely.
if see what will happen is MSMEs, if they are paid in time, they will quote such prices, which are so much more attractive than
Yes,
what is being done today because the risk element is removed.
yes, without
The risk
recourse.
element of payment is removed.
Yes, yes,
So I keep advising them that if you pay the MSMEs in time, there'll be a long queue of suppliers. You know, your cost will come down, your purchase cost will come down.
absolutely,
But they
absolutely.
don't listen. You see.
Right. So, thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Butha, for
Thank
your
you.
very valuable inputs and the feedback, which I am surely going to convey to at least two out of the three CEOs of the trades. Let me see if I can talk to Invoice Smart, the third one also, RXIL and M Junction. In any case, I am meeting them day after tomorrow. So I'll convey these feedback to them. So if there is no other question, we come to the close of this. In any case, we have exceeded the time limit, but very useful discussions and some very practical inputs from our very esteemed panelist, Mr. T.R. Varadan, who is the Vice President of SME Chamber of India, and also Chairman of Mascot Systems Private Limited, and Dr. Rajendra Kumar Sinha, the founder MSME advisor, and also Mr. Bhutha, who joined us, in fact, to give his feedback and inputs. So thank you very much. We have had a wonderful session. Hopefully, we can have another session, in fact, as to what has come true out of our expectations, that some of them which we discussed today after the budget, after the regular budget. Maybe we will have another program, 1 or 2 programs, because one program will not be sufficient to discuss the entire budget for the MSME sector, hopefully. So thank you very much. And if there are any other issues which participants would like to raise, they can send it to Power to SME at the contact details. Our colleagues, Mr. Varun and Shivani, will share the contact details. I think, Varun, have you shared the contact details? So
Yes,
that
mine is there, sir.
Yes. So thanks a lot. We come to the close of this section. Over to you, Varun and Shivani.
Thank you. Thank you. A big thanks to our wonderful
Mr.
panelists.
Varadhan, kindly convey my regards to Mr. Chandrakant Shalunke.
Sure,
Will
please.
do.
I will do that, sir. I will do that, sir. Dr. Kumar Saab, Mr. Vardhan, Dr. Sinha, your insights have been absolutely instrumental, sir. Thank you for making our discussion super engaging, and thank you to the participants as well for joining us. We really appreciate you taking the time. So thank you. Thank you very much. We can.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you,
The
Dr.
recording will be available on the
Kumar.
YouTube. We will share the link with you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr.
Thank you.
Sinha. Thank you, Mr.
Thank
Varun.
you. Thank you, Dr. Kumar. Thank you, Mr. Bhavna.
Thank you.
Thank you.